you. Sorry. All right. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace JIVA TATTVA Prabhu. And all glories to the assembled Vaishnavi devotees who have gathered here today to drink the nectarian Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we have His Grace JIVA TATTVA Prabhu who will be speaking to us. And Prabhu, I was just about to say that I was supposed to have informed you that today is Bhaktivinoda Thakur Bhaktivinoda Thakur's appearance. And if possible, after you've discussed with us the actual text from the Srimad Bhagavatam today, if we still have some time, you may share a little bit about His Divine Grace, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, with us. We know he's such an important figure in our Sampradaya. Most of us devotees are grihastas, and it's one of the prominent, like present, the acharyas. And so if there is some time left that you could say some few words about him, that would be very much appreciated. So with that being said, you may take it over from here. We'll put the verse on the screen. Hare Krishna. And again, you're welcome back to Hare Krishna Africa.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Let's start with Srila Prabhupada's Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshtarine. So, Sadhu Prabhu, will you be sharing the verse and the purport?
Yes.
So we can do the invocation prayers together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashta Prayeshwa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtiki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Hare Krishna, great Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. So today we are covering Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 1, verse 20. And there are so many lessons that we could be here for hours and still not done, not sketch the surface of this amazing pastime. Hare Krishna. So please join us in the recitation. So it can be done in 2 mantras. Itam vrajam bharatam eva varsham kalena yavad gatvan prabhasam tavat chashas kshatim ekachakram ekat patram ajitena partha. And then there is another meter. You can also sing this because these verses are to be sung. Ittam vrajan bharatam eva varsham kalena yavad gatvan prabhasam tavat chashasa shitim ekachakram ekat patram ajitena partha. Word for word translation. Itham, like this. Vrajan, while traveling. Bharatam, India. Eva, only. Varsham, the tract of land. Kalena, in due course of time. Yavat, when. Gatwan, visited. Prabhasam, the Prabhas pilgrimage site. Tavat, at that time. Shashasa, ruled. Kshatim, the world. Ek Chakram, by one military force. Eka, one. Atapatram, flag. Ajitena, by the mercy of the unconquerable Krishna. Partha, Maharaj Yudhishthir. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus, when he was in the land of Bharatvarsh, traveling to all the places of pilgrimage, he visited Prabhakshetra. At that time, Maharaj Yudhishthir was the emperor and held the world under one military strength and one flag. Purport. More than 5,000 years ago, while Saint Vidur was traveling the earth as a pilgrim, India was known as Bharatvarsh, as it is known even today. The history of the world cannot give any systematic account for more than 3,000 years into the past. But before that, the whole world was under the flag and military strength of Maharaj Yudhishthir, who was the emperor of the world. At present, there are hundreds and thousands of flags flapping in the United Nations. But during the time of Vidur, there was, by the grace of Ajita, Lord Krishna, only one flag. The nations of the world are very eager to again have one state under one flag, but for this, they must seek the favor of Lord Krishna, who alone can help us become one worldwide nation. Hare Krishna. Please join us in Guru Prati and getting the blessings of the Acharyas. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshtayine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees. So in this verse, the very first word that appears is itham. In this way, right? So like this, like what? Somebody can ask. How was Mahatma Vidur visiting different places? So that secret is revealed in the previous verse. So he was visiting as an avadhuta. Maharaj, again, Mahatma Vidur, and at that time, he was just referred to as Saint Vidur in the purport. And he was Sada Puto Adha Shayano Avadhutaha. So he was simply traveling like a mendicant without taking care of his dress, without taking care of his hair, and he was traveling unrecognized. Now, why is this important that he is traveling unrecognized? And what caused this travel? Now, somebody could say, he was such a great saintly person, and why is he going on traveling different pilgrimages? What's the cause of this? So we all understand from Mahabharata, when after Lord Krishna as a messenger of Yudhishthira Maharaj presented the plea in front of Dhritarashtra, that give them at least 5 villages. What did Duryodhana say? He said, I will not give them space even to put a needle. Now we always understand this particular aspect of Duryodhana. Why did he say that? We don't know. So we think that, oh, he was so arrogant, he didn't even want to give. So actually, if we read Mahabharata, this detail is revealed in Mahabharata that Yudhishthira Maharaj requested, okay, you don't want to give us our part of the kingdom, At least give us 5 villages. So at that time, Yudhishthir's question was, which 5 villages? And Sahdev is a great astrologer and he is also a great strategist. Sahdev, he looks at the map and he identifies 5 spots which, if Pandavas get one each, they will together form a force and immediately expand and regain their original kingdom. When those 5 villages are revealed to Duryodhan, that these are the 5 villages, Duryodhan looks at it, he knows exactly what the Pandavas are doing. And he becomes furious. He agreed, which 5 villages is saying that I would consider it. But knowing that they would regain their kingdom, he said, I will not give them space even to put a needle, because he was fearing, even if he gives the space where you can put a needle, Pandavas may still expand and regain their kingdom. So that was his fearful state and the envy that he shows. So again, Lord Krishna had already presented this and it was refused. Duryodhana's response was very aggressive. He even tried to imprison Lord Krishna. And that was also the time that Lord Krishna showed his universal form. And everyone, there's like thousands of suns have suddenly come up. So you can imagine thousands of suns. One sun, when we try to look at it, when it's up in the sky, our eyes go dim. We can't see it. Thousands of suns, nobody can see it except for Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitamaha and Kripacharya. Those are the only 3 personalities, and Mahatma Vidur. So again, these 4 personalities are able to see Lord Krishna because he removes the effulgence so that they can directly see him. So only when Lord grants by his mercy the vision to the personalities, he allows them to see. Otherwise, nobody can see the Lord. And at that time, Yudhishthira, once again, Duryodhan was trying to imprison Krishna, but he could not. And Lord Krishna left. So here, this event has just happened. And now Dhritarashtra is somewhat bewildered and also fearful. When he heard that Krishna had taken an amazing form and it was like light everywhere. And he knew that Krishna is on the side of Pandavas. So he is seeking help from Vidur. So Vidur is his younger brother. And now here in this particular verse, we are hearing about Vidur. He is traveling incognito as Avadhuta. Avadhuta means one who cannot be recognized. He is completely carefree. He doesn't even care for his hair, his dress, his position, his etiquette. He's completely carefree. Whatever he gets by the mercy of the Lord, he accepts. If he doesn't get it, he also accepts that. So Avadhuta is incognito, basically, literally incarnation, meaning. Now somebody would say, okay, this is about Vidura. He is traveling incognito. What does incognito mean? It means again, unrecognized. Well, unrecognized here in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are various personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam who have been identified as Avadhutas. Lord Rishabdev, he was the emperor of the world. He gave his kingdom to his eldest son, Bharat Maharaj. This is the one who later became Jar Bharat in his next to next birth. So, and he left his kingdom. And he was also traveling as an Avadhuta, incognito, unrecognized. So much so that people were thinking, oh, this person, he's just traveling like this, not caring for his, not even caring to wear any clothes, not caring about his hair, not caring about, what's on his body. And they were throwing stones and insulting him in all manners. Now there is another, Rishabdev is an expansion of Lord Krishna. He's a Supreme Personality of Godhead, yet he was treated in this way because he was traveling incognito. Now, when we hear about this, people traveling incognito, we also see who's the personality who's revealing all this wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, Shukdev Goswami. Even Shukdev Goswami was traveling incognito, didn't care about his dress. He was just traveling, and the women and children were following him, laughing and like, this is a 16-year-old boy. How is he traveling naked and so? Because he was carefree. He was constantly meditating on the Supreme Personality of God. We also hear in 11th canto where Lord Krishna is revealing Lord Dattatraya's pastime. And Also in 7th canto, that pastime comes in. Lord Dattatreya is also referred to as the Avadhuta Brahman, who Prahlad Maharaj met and received instructions as how to carry out Varnashram Dharma. Instruction also received by King Yadu as how to be in this world, but understanding that we are in this world, but not of this world, to attain that dharma, artha, kama, moksha, the three fruits in this material world that people are focusing on. To really focus on moksha, liberation, and what is true moksha. So there are 4 aspects. Dharma is religiosity, artha is economic development, kama is enjoyment, sense gratification, or sometimes referred to as relaxation, and then liberation, moksha. But what is true liberation? True liberation is not just to come out of this world. That's like level 0. You don't have any miseries, but then you still don't have any glimpse of what true happiness is. It is only when we engage in devotional service that we get that bliss, the ananda, the pleasure. So we get the shelter of pleasure potency, Srimati Radharani, when we engage in service of the Lord, following the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. So now we have talked about so many avdutas. Any other avdutas that we know of? Yes, there are so many of them. Chitraketu, when he was visited by Devashi Narad and Angira Rishi, he said, I want a son, I have 1 crore wives. That's 10 million wives, by the way. And not one of them has a child. He's able to give me a child. So he is looking to have a child with so many wives, still he doesn't have. So by the mercy of Angira Rishi, he gets a son. But Angira Rishi warns him that he will be cause of your pleasure and pain. Harsha is pleasure, Shoka is lamentation. So he'll be the cause of both. And at that time, King Chitraketu thinks, because he'll be our only son, I will pamper him. And so he will do mischievous things, and that will become cause of my lamentation. So he still accepted. But he did not know that as soon as Kritidyuti gives birth to this child and he is showering all his love on the child and the mother, the co-wives will become envious and they will poison the child. And the child dies as a result. And now he and his queen, they are crying. And as Avadhutas, Devashi Narad and Angira Rishi appear. And he says that you are traveling like mendicants. You are traveling like completely incognito. Nobody can recognize you. And when they reveal to him that actually this child is only to help you understand, get over your current desire to have a child, but in reality, this child is a spirit soul. That's the true aspect, right? Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Bij Pradha Pita. I am the seed-giving father. So many times people understand, yes, material energy is what's giving the body, Ishwar Sarvabhutanam Hridayesha Jantishtati Brahmyan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudhani Maya. So this material body is the yantra, is the machine given to us by material energy. Lord Krishna is the father. But who are these bijas, the seeds? These are the living entities. These are us, the seeds. So we have to understand those aspects. And once revealed, he is glorifying that you have finally revealed this fact that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And he goes into worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead so much so that Lord grants him, makes him the ruler of Gandharva planet. Before Chitraratha, there was a time, and there's another story as why Chitraratha wasn't the ruler at that time, and King Chitraketu, but only so that he gets cursed by Parvati, the wife of Lord Shiva, and he is born as Vritrasur and finally goes back home, back to Godhead. So there are so many intertwinkling stories within stories, as we can understand. So now we understand what avadhuta means. The person is traveling incognito, not recognized by others, and he is traveling carefree. He's not taking care of his physical self. He's just meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what caused this is because after Lord Krishna left, Dhritarashtra was in anxiety. He said, my great advisor and my supporter is Vidur. let me call my younger brother Vidur. And now people say, wait a minute, but Vidur was born of a maidservant. So there is a beautiful story before that. So I'm taking you, traveling you, making you travel to various, intricate stories within stories. So who is Mahatma Vidur? Yes, this question is a very important question. Mahatma Vidur is none other than Yamraj. So we have to understand that it was Yamraj who was born as Shudra. So what happened was that Yamraj was also cursed by Mandukya Muni. This is given in Maitreya Purana, where Yamraj was cursed to be born as a Shudra. So he requests his uncle Aryama to take on the charge of the whole Pitra Lok, and he takes birth as Vidur. And sometimes we just look at it, the mother aspect, that okay, she is a maid servant. But there is a beautiful story behind the birth of Mahatma Vidur. Vichitravirya died without having a son. He had 2 wives. So at that time, Satyavati, she had a son with Parashar, whose name was Krishna Dvayapanya Vyasdev. So she asked Vyasdev to get, sons on behalf. So this is abolished in Kali age. But in the previous ages, the younger brother, other brother of the husband could beget son in the womb of the wife if husband is incapable or has died untimely. So here, when Vyasadev, he sees the first queen, she comes to him, she looks at Vyasadev. Vyasadev, Krishna, also means, the literal meaning of Krishna is, yes, we understand, all attractive. It also means black. And he has very unattractive features. He's not very attractive looking personality. So she fears him so much just looking at his face, she closes her eyes. And then Vyasadev goes to his mother Satyavati and says, yes, she will bear a son, but he will be born blind because she closed her eyes. So she is like, this is not going to satisfy a blind, grandson cannot be the king. So she sends the second wife to Vyasadev. Second wife of Vichitravirya, her son. And when she comes, she turns pale looking at Vyasadev. And so Vyasadev goes to Satyavati and he says, she will also bear a son, but then he will be very weak physically. He will fall sick very quickly. His immunity system will not be so strong. So at that time, she instructs the first queen of Vichitravirya that this time don't close your eyes, go and see him. But she was so in a fearful state that she sends her maidservant instead. Now the maidservant knew what the glories of Srila Vyasadev. She was complete awe and reverence. Now she accepted him, and so Vyasadev goes to his mother Satyavati and he says that this queen actually sent her maidservant. And so she will bear a son who will be very knowledgeable and will attain liberation and will enable others to go back home, back to Godhead. So now these 3 sons are born. Dhritarashtra is the eldest one. He is blind. Pandu is the second one. And Vidur, born of a maidservant, is the third one. Now here, this Vidur is none other than Yamraj. Now somebody could say, we always pay attention that Vidur was born of a maidservant, but think of the biological father. Who's biological father of Vidur? Krishna Dvayapanya Vyasadev. Yet at the same time, he was very humble. And it was because of his mild, humble nature that he had won over the heart of Dhritarashtra. When Dhritarashtra was not listening to Dronacharya, when he was not listening to his spiritual master Kripacharya, when he was not listening to his uncle Bhishma Pitama, he would still seek advice of Vidur because he knew that Vidur is my dear brother, his half brother. And so he called Vidur. And at that time, Vidur was very straightforward. He said, "My dear brother, you actually are having a serpent in your house. You know, it is said that if you have a serpent in your house, you should leave the house and go to the forest." Somebody could say, there are so many serpents in the forest. Why should we go to the forest? The idea is not stay in the house where there is a serpent. And he's referring directly to Duryodhan. He's saying that your son Duryodhan, you're taking his association. And what is Duryodhan's association is? His association is Karna, who is very envious, arrogant. He's taking shelter of Shakuni. Shakuni is Gandhar Raj. He is the brother of your wife, Gandhari. Yet at the same time, he is only staying here so that he can destroy, all pious people. He can, somehow he is not satisfied that his sister was married to a blind man. So he's burning with that fire within his heart. And Dushasan, he's just ready to do anything that Duryodhana says. Just like we gave example of Ram and Lakshman is always dedicated to fulfill all desires of Lord Ram. Dushasan was just like that. He was ready to, without even having any doubt or any question, he was just ready to carry out whatever Duryodhana says. But this association is all bad association. And in this association, you are driven by those aspirations. Because you could not become the ruler, you were supposed to be the uncle of Pandavas and give them the whole kingdom. You usurped most of it, the whole Hastinapura and other part of the kingdom. And now you have taken the remaining part as well. You should actually give them back their kingdom and you should kick out your son. Duryodhana hears this conversation between Vidur and Dhritarashtra, and he becomes very angry and he comes in and starts saying bad words. So when we are in anger, we go down to the level of name calling. That is where we should be very, very careful not to speak anything when we are angry. This is the lesson we learn from Duryodhana's behavior. He starts calling that this Vidur is actually the serpent. He is the one who is causing all this havoc. He is on the enemy camp. He's coming in here and, coming from the enemy camp and trying to pollute your mind, dear father. And hearing these harsh words of Duryodhana, Vidur, he actually had gone through the same education as Dhritarashtra. He was, from the perspective, he was also a warrior. He places his bow at the door of Dhritarashtra and then leaves the place. Now, here in this very chapter, we directly hear that he goes on a pilgrimage. Somebody could say, what about his wife, Vidurani? What about her arrangement and all? Well, Mahabharata, if you pay attention, Vidur, he makes sure that two positive things are happening. Vidur was already at a very elderly age, and so he made sure that his wife and children, everyone is nicely taken care of before he starts the pilgrimage. That's the first aspect, that he took care of his responsibility as a grahastha. Second is, he left his bow at the door of Dhritarashtra's palace, Dhritarashtra's room actually. He doesn't even take it out. Which means when Mahabharata is at Kurukshetra, when the battle of Kurukshetra is occurring, Vidur is not participating in it. So, because if he had to participate, he would have to fight from the side of Kauravas, and that's not something that's desirable. So by providence, by Lord's mercy, this is happening. And when we say, Kriteta Dhyayate Vishnum Tretayam Yajato Make Dwapare Paricharyayam Kalotad Hariketana. We hear about this. There are 4 different types of sacrifices in different ages. In Satyuga, Krita Yuga, by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can attain perfection. Kriteta Dhyayate, meditating. Vishnu, on who? But Lord, none other than Lord Vishnu. Tretayam Yajato Make. So, when austerity goes away, there are 4 legs of religion: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. So after Satyuga is gone, austerity goes away, but cleanliness is still there. So by doing fire sacrifices, one can attain perfection. And with the leaving of Treta Yuga, even austerity diminishes, but mercy is still there. And this particular mercy aspect is by going to the temple. Paricharyayam has 2 meanings. One is by worshipping the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Second is Charyayam. Paricharyayam is going on pilgrimage. And Mahatma Vidu, by his example, is teaching us that going on pilgrimage and engaging in Lord's service, Lord worship, is also an essential principle. But with the coming of Kali age, even the third leg is broken, and Dharma was standing on only one leg, which is truthfulness. So in Kali age, even truthfulness will diminish over a period of time. So here, Mahatma Vidur, by his own example, and Adi Guru, of course, Lord Balram, he also goes on pilgrimage when Kurukshetra, the battle of Kurukshetra is about to start. He says, I'm not going to take any sides, and he goes on a pilgrimage. So these two personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam are revealing to us that based on the time, place, and circumstances, the sacrifices vary and their personalities who will teach us. Now, somebody could say, how is Vidur teaching this personality? What makes him an authority? Right? Sometimes we say, yes, Mahajana yena gatha pantha. So we should follow in the footsteps of Mahajanas. And there are 12 Mahajanas. And my dear devotees, Yamraj is also one of the Mahajanas. So he is appearing as Vidur. Yet at the same time, he's showing by his example that we have to follow the sacrifice. And what's the sacrifice for Kali age? What is the sacrifice for Kali age?
Chanting the holy names of the Lord.
Yes, Sankirtan Yagya. Kalo tad Hari Kirtanat. So in Kali age, Hari Kirtan, Sankirtan Yagya is the Yagya for this age. And it's such simple one, even a small child, Srila Prabhupada would say, can do it. All you have to do is call out to the Lord Shiva with love and in a mood of praying to seek their mercy, to engage in devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now, Yamaraj is also one of the 12 Mahajanas. So when we see from that perspective, there is a beautiful verse that Yamaraj himself speaks in the 6th canto, the 2nd chapter and 3rd chapter, where he's having conversation with Yamdutas. He says, Swayambhur Narado Shambhu Kumaro Kapilo Manhu Prahlado Janako Bhishma Bali Vaya Sakirvayam. So he's saying, Swayambhur, Lord Brahma, Narado, Devashi Narad, Shambhu, Lord Shiva, Kumara, the 4 Kumaras, Kapil Dev, and Manu. Kapil, the son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni. Manu is referring to Swayambhuva Manu. Current reign is of Vavasvata Manu. And between Swayambhuva Manu and Vavasvata Manu's reign came the Chakshusha Manu's reign. Prahlad Maharaj, the son of Hiranyakashipu. Janak Maharaj, father of Mother Sita. And Bhishma Pitamaha, he is also one of the Mahajanas. And so here, Bali is the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, son of Virochana. He gave everything to Vamandev, including his own self. So again, here's Atma Nivedanam. He's given an example of who surrendered everything for the pleasure of Lordship. And Vayam. Now who is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj? Shukdev Goswami. He already said Vyasakir, son of Vyasdev. So Shukdev Goswami is also one of the Mahajanas. And Vayam is here when this verse is being spoken originally by Yamaraj. He is referring to himself that I am also one of the Mahajanas. Now somebody could say, a Mahajana? How could a Mahajana make a mistake? Now this is the nature of this particular verse. Sometimes we see that devotees are engaged in various service, yet at the same time, we are learning from others' instructions. So those who are intelligent, they are learning from others' instructions and following as how these instructions have to be carried out. Some are even more advanced to understand these instructions, but at the same time go into the depth of those instructions. And they are actually carrying out in the mood of properly It's a loving reciprocation. So some are carrying at a duty level, but some are carrying out at the love level. And that is a higher principle that we hear. And some are so much so that they want to save themselves while performing at the level of love. There is even below duty is fear. Some are carrying out at the level of fear. Yet at the same time, those who are carrying out the level of love are knowing that this is our duty and also fear any offenses. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when we see his Shikshashtaka, the 8 verses, the third one tells us what should be our mood when we are chanting the holy name. What should be our mood when we are living our life? What should be our mood when we are dealing with devotees or even general populace, even with non-devotees? Tranadapi sunichena tarurapi sayishuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So we have to be more humble than a grass on the street. Grass never rebukes, saying that you just stepped over me. They don't react. They respond to Lord's mercy. Whatever is happening by Lord's desire. We don't become doormat, but rather we understand that things are happening and we don't react to them. And Tarurapi Saishana, be more tolerant than the tree. The tree provides shade, fruits, so many things, branches, leaves, flowers. Yet at the same time, the meaning of Vraksha is one that is meant to be cut down. It doesn't protest. Why are you cutting me down? I gave you all my life. Even after its life, tree is serving. So this should be the mood of devotees. And this mood has been also revealed as Dharmraj. Yamraj is also his another position is Dharmraj. And he is the king of the Pitras, the forefathers, the planet of forefathers. So there are 2 parts of this planet. One is ruled by Aryama, another one is ruled by Yamraj. So they are 6 months and 6 months. That makes 1 day of earthly 6 months. Each makes 1 day of 1 day of the devas, the demigods. So here, what's happening is Yamraj, he's a Mahajana, and he got cursed. How could that be? People get shocked. How could a Mahajana be cursed? So now I'm taking you even further back. Manduka Muni, he's a great devotee of the Lord. And he is performing very nice sadhana at his ashram. And there are some thieves that have stolen some treasury from, some jewelry from king's treasury, and the soldiers are chasing them. So they drop those that treasure in the ashram of Manduka Muni. And then they are caught. So along with them, the soldiers bring Manduka Muni also. And whoever was the main personal chieftain of these soldiers, he says they should be punished. And the way they were punished for this kind of crime based on the rules. So it is also very important that a person who is giving out the ruling has to be very careful that they do not serve punishment to the wrong person. So in that particular times, the lance, shul, it used to be called, Lord Krishna has Trishul, which has 3 tridents. But this is a dent, like this is a lance. It's penetrated from rectum and comes out of head. This was the punishment given for this crime, stealing from king's treasury. So all the thieves, when they were punished, they died because body cannot sustain so much pain. Manduka Muni, because of his yogic power, was able to control, and the king immediately interfered that don't do that. He is a Muni, you punished by mistake. But then Manduka Muni, he is also known as Mandavya Muni. Same 2 names for the same personality. So Manduka Muni, he was thinking, why would I be punished like this? So he was curious. So he went to meet Yamraj. And he said to Yamraj, you see this lance going through my body? It is so painful. Why was I punished like this? Yamraj says, actually, when you were a child, you penetrated the body of an ant with a thorn. So this is the punishment for that crime. And now Mandukya Muni, he becomes furious. It's like, when I was a child, I had no knowledge. And you punished me for this? According to Yamraj, he did the right thing. But according to Mandukya Muni, he immediately cursed him. You should be born as a Shudra. You acted like an unlearned, not so learned personality. So Yamraj did the right thing, but at the same time, there was a mistake. He did not convey to Mandukya Muni that, Mandukya Muni, you are going to get such and such punishment. Don't get furious. Many times it happens. People, by mistake, they curse other personalities. Just like Goddess Parvati, he cursed Chitraketu, thinking that Chitraketu is laughing at Lord Shiva, and said, you should be born as a demon. You're laughing like a demon. And Chitraketu is born as a Vatrasur, other son of Toshta, because Toshta brought him from the fire sacrifice. Yet at the same time, Vatrasur was a great devotee of Lord, and he attained perfection. So here we see that Yamraj, he gets this curse, and he says, it must be Lord's desire that I be born as a Shudra, or from a womb of a Shudra woman. So that's how he is born. But think of his lineage. His biological father is none other than Krishna Dvaipanya Vyasdev, father of Shukdev Goswami, who's also present in the assembly where Shukdev Goswami is narrating this pastime. Again, as Srimad Bhagavatam is being recited to Parikshit Maharaj, and all the great sages are there. Srila Vyasdev is there, Devashi Narad is there, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, and great personalities, Ajita, Devula, all these great sages are in this gathering. They're hearing this pastime and they're nodding their head, yes, this happened. So Vidur is not a simple personality. He is none other than Yamraj, and by his example, he is setting out that going to worship, again, worshipping is very important. Yet the essence of all that worship is to associate with the devotees. Going to a pilgrimage place just to take bath, to get rid of the sin, that's like a place of a crow, as is revealed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Devotees go to holy places to associate with Vaishnavas, to get instructions from Vaishnavas. And that is where we learn later on in this particular chapter, as this travel continues, that Vidur meets Uddhava. Now, Uddhava also teaches a lesson. He says that, yes, I have heard that everyone has passed on, and Lord has also returned back. And when Vidur says, I would like to be initiated by you, he says, well, I'm way junior to you. However, when I received the instruction, Maitreya Muni was also present. And he's an elderly personality. You should take instructions and you should take shelter of Maitreya Muni. So Vidura goes to Maitreya Muni's ashram, and this is where Maitreya Muni reveals the Bhagavad Dharma and the transcendental knowledge to Mahatma Vidur. So here, there are so many lessons, my dear devotees. Even at the position of a Mahajana, there can be mistakes. So we have to be very, very humble in our service. And if we get cursed or we get rebuked by others, we should understand that it must have been ordained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like Parikshit Maharaj. Shringi, the son of Shamika Rishi, he was not very intelligent, but he cursed him that the king will die in 7 days. Parikshit Maharaj could have easily overcome this particular curse, but he said, no, this has been ordained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I accept it with my mind, body, and soul. So again, from that perspective, we should understand that everything is happening for a reason in our life. And our mood should always be humble. We should always be seeking shelter of Lord's lotus feet. Surrender becomes more evident how surrender we are when we are facing adversaries, when we are facing tribulations in life, when we are in tough situations. That is the true test of time of our surrender. So Hare Krishna, we are hearing that, yes, Srila Prabhupada, he is saying that there are hundreds of thousands of flags at United Nations, but they are not united. If you are to attend any of the meetings of United Nations, you can see so many videos on YouTube. They're literally fighting with each other. You did this to me and you did that to me. So there is no overruling one flag. And that one flag can only be there if we all take shelter of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who appears with various names. Allah, Christ, Christo, these are different names of Lord Krishna. So we have to understand that we have to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless that happens, we cannot have one ruler, one flag on this planet Earth. While Yudhishthira Maharaj, again, the glory, as Shukdev Goswami is revealing, by the mercy of Ajita, Lord Krishna, he was able to become the ruler of the world. So again, Yudhishthira Maharaj's glory is identified. He's not referred to as Yudhishthira directly. He's referred to as Pritha, Partha. Partha means son of Pritha. Kunti, her another name is Pritha. And so he's identified as the son of Kunti. That's also very important because Kunti, she went through so many tribulations, so many sufferings in her life, but she stayed humble, and she, in her prayers, is saying that, Lord, let more and more calamities come my way so that we can always see you. We always seek your shelter. Now that we are in comfortable state, you are leaving us. So Queen Kunti's prayers in the first canto reveal so many wonderful pastimes. So today is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So Srila Sachidanand Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he appeared in 1838 in a wealthy family in the Nadia district, West Bengal. And he is an eternal associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We know the Manjari, again, who is appearing as Bhaktivinoda Thakur to reveal Bhagavad Dharma and reignite. He also refers to as the seventh Goswami. We know about the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. After Jagannath Maharaj, there was a period, this whole Vaishnava philosophy, they had taken like a backstage. And Devi Dharma was expanding very heavily all over India. Now people were becoming great worshippers of Kali, Durga, and various forms of Durga. So here we see that it was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He rekindled that Bhagavad Dharma and that light of Bhagavad Dharma in the hearts of all the residents of Nadia and beyond. Jagannath Puri is where he would go very frequently and read Srimad Bhagavatam. He was a great reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we also know that he has written many amazing books revealing Lord's pastimes like JIVA and others. And he had various children, and one of them was Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wanted to get initiation from his father. And what did Srila Sachidanand Bhaktivinoda Thakur say? No, you should take shelter from my disciple, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Now, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was not an initiated disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta or Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj had an initiating spiritual master who was different. He was Shiksha Guru. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was his Shiksha Guru. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, understanding the instruction of his father, took shelter of Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So he is showing by his example that the mercy of the devotee flows through the devotees. So again, that's why there is this lineage, because the knowledge is received in descending order in our parampara. And we have to take shelter of those instructions, right? Anusharan, we have to take shelter. Sharan refers to, we have to take shelter. We have to surrender ourselves, and our mood should be in alignment with the instructions that we have received from the Mahajanas and in disciplic succession from the previous acharyas. Not anukaran. Anukaran is imitating. And we should be very, very careful, because pride cometh before fall. Sometimes people imitate and then they're still meditating on sense objects, while externally they appear to be completely renounced. So we don't want to be in those mithyachara state. Hare Krishna. So today we also seek blessings from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, remembering him who has given us such wonderful literature like Jaiva Dharma and so many wonderful Vaishnava songs that we sing. Again, if you have Vaishnava song book, you can read so many wonderful songs. And of course, we have, the morning Mangalati, when every other temple here is saying the prayer by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Guru Ashtaka. In Vrindavan, Vivavari Shesha Aloka Pravesha, that is sung, which is written also by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So we can take shelter at his lotus feet here, understand his instructions on this day, and try to bring more humility in our life, more dedication, and be inspired by the great examples. Hare Krishna. Ganthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Anand Gauri Vaishnavind ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for rendering such a wonderful, beautiful service. Lots of pastimes. And wow. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations you may want to ask or share, please, you may indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question or speak. Prabhu, see, you were discussing, you were talking about the lineage of Sri Bhakta Prahlad. His son was Virochana, and Virochana's son was Bali Maharaj.
Yes.
Now we understand Prahlad was on this earth planet, but it seems Bali Maharaj was not on this earth planet. And if he was not on this earth planet, how did that happen? How did Prahlad's son Virochana begot Bali Maharaj on a different planet? How did that happen?
Hare Krishna. So,
Hare Krishna.
In 7th canto, we hear about Prahlad Maharaj being blessed by Lord Narasimhadev, right? And Prahlad Maharaj is coronated as the king of the universe. So Indra was hoping that he would be coronated back, but it was Prahlad Maharaj who was coronated. And the demigods were not really happy with this change because Lord suddenly changed his plans. So again, man proposes, God disposes. So Lord did not really allow them to have that sense gratification, that satisfaction that we are back in our ruling state. Aditi and Diti both were in turmoil. Diti was in turmoil that my son was killed because of Indra. She goes and does a whole lot of sacrifice, and she is doing all this, and her husband, Kashyapa Muni, he engages her in devotional service. So that's another set of story. So Prahlad Maharaj is the emperor of the universe. And Shukracharya is still the spiritual master. And with Shukracharya, Shukracharya is his original location, his ashram is in Narmada, which is on this planet Earth in India. At the center of India, there is a state called MP Madhya Pradesh, which actually means central India, central state. And right there, there is a river flowing Narmada. And at the bank of Narmada is where Shukracharya's ashrams were there. So even though, Hiranyakashipu, again, we are talking of heavenly personalities, right? Aditi, her sons are called Adityas. Diti's sons are called Daityas. So Prahlad Maharaj is also referred to as Daityaraj. When his son Virochana is there, Virochana is not given the whole universe. Prahlad Maharaj is still holding it, but then he is transferring everything to Indra. He gives Virochana this planet Earth. Now, Indra, it's very interesting that when somebody gives you, so somebody writes you a check, right? They say 99,999.99. What are you missing? You like the round figure, right? Why is that 0.001 not given? So this is the state of Indra. He's not thinking that Prahlad has returned everything to me. He's thinking that why did he give this earthly planet to Virochana? So he and the demigods, they come in the form of Brahmanas. Just like Krishna, Bhima, and Arjun, they took the form of Brahmanas and they went to see Jarasandha. Just like that, these demigods. And Virochana was also known for doing a lot of charity. He received that instruction from his father, he was doing charity. And so these demigods approached him as Brahmanas and they say that, my dear King Virochana, we would like to have something from you. So Virochana said, yes, what do you want? Virochana already had a son. Bali Maharaj was already born. And they said, first you should promise that you will give us. He said, there is no question. I will definitely give it to you. He immediately recognized with the voice and the way they were behaving that these are not Brahmanas. Just like Jarasandha had this doubt, these are not Brahmanas. I can see the bows marks on their shoulder, the big physic bodies, and the way they speak with so much, force. So similarly, Virochana recognized, but he said, because they have even come as Brahmanas, I will give them even if they ask for my life. Now, when he thinks this way, we should be careful what we wish because we might get it. That's exactly what Indra asks, that I would like to have your life. First, he was thinking of asking for earth. But then he says, if Virochana is not alive, then of course there will not be any ruler and it will come under my ruling. So he asked for Virochana's life instead of asking for earth. One amazing mistake happens sometimes. Now that made Indra a dire enemy. Once again, Bali Maharaj a dire enemy of Indra. Indra didn't recognize. And that's why Indra was again and again driven out by Bali Maharaj. So much so that finally he has to take shelter of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, who appears as Upendra, as his younger brother, and gets him the whole universe as alms. What's the value of an alms? You receive something as an alms. That's not really, you have not won over. This is by someone's mercy that you received it. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
He was at Narmada. And Narmada is a place where Shukracharya's ashrams are located. So his sons, Shanda and Amarka, when they were instructing Prahlad Maharaj, they would take him to this place where the ashrams were. And that's where they would give the instructions. They were traveling to different planets, to a different planet, when giving instructions to Prahlad Maharaj and his classmates. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. It seems interplanetary traveling was quite common those days, yes. unlike today. Yeah. But Prabhuji, Lord Chaitanya Srila Prabhupada in particular, they spoke and fought heavily against the caste system.
Yes.
But we are seeing from the scriptures, and particularly lots of the pastimes you so kindly shared with us today, that the scriptures themselves support and condone this caste system. Otherwise, why is Yamaraj, who is a Mahajan, now being cursed and like so-called degraded to be a Sudra because he was born to a maid servant? Simply because he was born to a maid servant, he was considered a Sudra. Well, as we are reading, nobody can ever expect such intelligence to come from somebody who is a Sudra. So even though Vidura was born to a maid servant, but his activities and wisdom surpass anybody else. So my question in brief is, don't you think that the scriptures themselves are also saw this caste system to be something relevant that people had to follow?
So again, when the curse is given, when Mandukya Muni is cursing Yamraj to be born as a Shudra, why did he say that? Because you acted in ignorance and gave me such a harsh punishment, you should be born as an ignorant person. That's what he's saying. Now, for all the four varnas, which varna is in ignorance, mode of ignorance? It's Shudra. That's why he uses the word Shudra to identify you're acting like this. Just like Indradumna Maharaj, he was in meditation. Agastya Muni comes with his disciples and he is still in meditation. He's like, you're ignoring me and sitting like an elephant, like a dumb elephant. You become an elephant. Yes. So he's born as Gajendra, but in one of the heavenly planets. And by Lord's mercy, he is reawakened with his spiritual knowledge so that he's able to, recite those amazing prayers as we hear in Gajendra's pastimes. So at different times, we see different personalities. They do act. King Nahusha, he wanted to marry Shachi Devi, wife of King Indra. And he was telling these sages who were carrying him, Sarpa, Sarpa. Ankira Rishi is a short personality. It doesn't walk very fast and it also walks with a limp. So because he was when he heard Sarpa, Sarpa, he's like, you are acting so envious and saying Sarpa, Sarpa, you become a Sarpa. When he says that, he's saying that you become a serpent. Sarpa means go fast, but it also means snake. And he, at that time, King Nahusha was at the throne as a Indra. Indra was hiding in the stem of a lotus by the mercy of Goddess of Fortune, Goddess Lakshmi, and was trying to save himself from the reaction that's chasing him, from the witch that was chasing him because of Vatrasur death. We all know about that one. So Nahusha fell down and became a serpa, became a snake. Now that is the worst yonis, right? That's complete ignorance. And of them, the scorpions and snakes are the worst, that even the saintly personalities, they rejoice when they are killed. Think of that. So sometimes the curses are given based on one's behavior. It's not that they are trying to promote caste system. They are saying Chaturvarna, Maya system. So all these varnas are established by Lord Krishna himself. And they are under different modes of material nature. So again, mode of ignorance, because he acted in ignorance, according to Mandukya Rishi, he was cursed. And now sometimes when we think of it this way, there is a beautiful lecture by Srila Prabhupada. I was just hearing it today early morning, where Srila Prabhupada said that the GBC men, they have to be, or men or women, they have to be very, very careful. With high positions come high responsibilities. I mean, even a small mistake can cause heavy punishment. So we all have to be very, very careful. All the facilities that we have been given, if we make mistakes, and he says very clearly, Srila Prabhupada says that, if you're not engaging in devotional service, any other activity that we are doing, 99.999%, it is sinful. It will cause some sinful reaction. And we should be aware of it once we have taken to this. So again, the higher intelligence we get, the higher punishment for even small mistake happens. And yes, from the caste system, it's, now that you mentioned it, it's very interesting. All these stories that I'm referring today, the depth ones, they're in Bhagavad Puran, as well as many of them are coming from Markandeya Puran. Have you heard about Markandeya Puran, Prabhu?
Yeah.
Yes. So Markandeya Puran, just 9,000 verses. But one of the glory of Markandeya Puran is Rishi Markandeya himself, after whom this Puran is named. He was supposed to die at the age of 18 years. So his father, when his 17th birthday came, his father, mother, they became very morose that now just one more year, he's going to die. So he approached his father. He's like, why are you so sad? Why is mother so sad? So he says, because this is your last year. Yamaraj will take you away. And what had happened was, That's the boon they had received. That you can have 100 sons who can live for 100 years, but they will all be fools. You can have one son who will live only for 18 years, but he will be an ideal son. So they went for one son who will be an ideal son, but only live for 18 years. And now Markandeya Rishi, he receives Mahamrityunjaya mantra from his father. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Suvadhim Punyavashtanam Urva Mukir Bandhanat. So again, just trying to recall it. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urva Mukruvardhanat Mrityur Mokshya Mamritat Om. So he receives this mantra and he goes to the bank, again, ocean beach, and he makes a shivling, from earth. And he is every day praying. Now, when Yamdutas, they come, they see that they have to, Yamaraj says, go and bring, Markandeya's time has come. They go and see, and they see, this boy, about to turn 18, is worshipping who? Shivling, Lord Shiva's. Yeah. And he's like, Lord Shiva is one of the Mahajanas. Last time we got chastised when Ajamil pastime happened. That had already happened. So they went back. They went to Yamaraj. They said, no. He's worshipping a Mahajana. How can we go and disturb? You are Mahajana, he's a Mahajana. Lord Shiva is Mahajana. So how can we disturb his devotee? So Yamaraj, he's thinking, oh, that's because this boy just doesn't want to die. That's why he's doing this. So Yamaraj himself comes with his danda and his pash, the ropes. And he throws the rope. But he was so much thinking of catching Markandeya in his pash, in the loop of his rope, that he fails to see that his rope also falls across shivling. Now, this is a great example when we talk about deities, they are Bhagavan Janardana, and also they recite. Here, as soon as that rope falls, and Markandeya is holding on to shivling, it's like, my Lord, please save me. Lord Shiva appears from the shivling. He comes out. Now, there are two Mahajanas. Lord Shiva steps forward. First, he kicks on Yamaraj's body, who falls down flat on the ground. Then he takes his trident and kills Yamaraj on the spot. Yamaraj is dead. A Mahajana killed by another Mahajana. The whole universe is in turmoil. Who will make the decisions now? Our supreme judge of, the Lord of Death has been killed. How can the Lord of Death die? He's not supposed to die. Everything will turn into turmoil. And at that time, Lord Brahma, along with the demigods, and of course, Yamaraj is son of Suryadev, sun god, Vivaswan. So Vivaswan comes to know of this. He approaches Lord Brahma and all the demigods. They come and pray to Lord Shiva. Please, let go. Please bring him back. Lord Shiva has this potency. He can bring a dead person back to life. So he brings back Yamaraj to life. And Yamaraj immediately bows down. And then Lord Shiva grants Markandeya Chiranjeevi state. Means he will not die. So Markandeya Muni has lived through many, many days of Lord Brahma. So just like we, again, go back into the womb of Garbhodakshay Vishnu at the end of the day, he doesn't. He's one of the Chiranjeevis. Vibhishana is one of the Chiranjeevis. Prahlad, one of the Chiranjeevis. Hanuman, one of the Chiranjeevis. Parshuram, one of the Chiranjeevis. Again, Shaktavesh avatars also. So they are one of the Chiranjeevis who continue to go day after day and still be there. Does that answer your question? I went further depth. That even if Mahajanas can make mistake, who are we? Yet at the same time, the curses, when they talk about different caste systems, they are thinking of the curses given based on one's behavior, as seen by the person who's giving the curse. That is the gist of. That's.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Baisakhi, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I have a question. We have heard about Dhritarashtra and Vidur's pastime. So, my question is: Dhritarashtra and Vidur are brothers,
Yes.
and after also instructions received from Vidur by Dhritarashtra, why his heart is not changed? I mean, we have heard and read that even a moment's association of a pure devotee can change your heart. So, even after being brothers, why Dhritarashtra heart was not changed?
Excellent question. Thank you for asking this question. So before going on pilgrimage, Vidur was referred to as Vidwan Vidur. He was not yet Mahatma. He became Mahatma Vidur once he got association of Maitre Muni, from whom he heard the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. So now when he returns back, after meeting Uddhav, after taking shelter of Maitre Muni, after receiving, he becomes self-realized at that time. He was already a devotee, but under the Yogamaya, he was forgetting his perspective that, that this is not just a pastime, that this is my service. He comes back. This is none other than Yamaraj. And how does Yudhishthira Maharaj receive him? Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatas Swayam Bhuta, again, Tirtha Kurtvanti Tirthani. So he is saying that you are holy places personified. Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibhu Tirtha Kurvanti Tirthani Swanta Stena Gadabhrata. So he's saying personalities like yourself are holy places personified, and you purify even the holy places by your presence. This is how Mahatma Vidur's glories have been recognized by Yudhishthira Maharaj. And so when he is saying Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatas, he is saying that your good self are verily holy places personified. Now at this time, Mahatma Vidur, he goes to Dhritarashtra, the same Dhritarashtra he had gone before. But now this Vidur, the Mahatma Vidur, has his heart transformed. Now he gives the instructions directly to Dhritarashtra, that Dhritarashtra is literally shattering the false ego of Dhritarashtra, saying, just like a dog receives the food given by the master, you are receiving, you're sustaining your life and receiving the food and the care given by Bhima, who slayed your son Duryodhana. Now these words are very harsh words. And when Dhritarashtra hears it, his question is, what do I do? Now, I mean, really, this is what you have said is truth. I cannot deny that. At that time, Mahatma Vidur, he reveals Bhagavad Updesh, the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra immediately leaves the palace and goes into the jungle with his wife Gandhari, and Kunti also go with them. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Think of two different personalities. That was before he was a very great knowledgeable person, so he was referred to as Vidwan, but later on he's referred to as Mahatma because now he's a self-realized person, and he is the potency coming directly from the Lord through the devotees. That's why the disciplic succession is glorified, that only by the mercy of acharyas we get the potency, we get the empowerment to be able to transform others. Only when we have bhakti, we can give bhakti to others. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Beautiful question. Wonderful answer. Before Prabhuji leaves for the day, does anyone have something to ask or to share? Otherwise, Prabhu, I have one last question from the question Bashaki David asked and the answer you gave. And actually, it's like two in one question. One is that I know you as a devotee, so I will try my best to serve you and honor you as a devotee. But the way I serve and honor you will certainly be different from serving and honoring a personality like, say, Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj. You see, so there are so many great personalities amongst us, but at certain points, their real identities might not have been revealed, just like Vidura. Vidura is Yamaraj himself, but at some point, his real being was not revealed, so people dealt with him differently. Now, my question is, do we get some sort of reactions for not honoring or serving such great personalities when we did not know externally that that is their status? That is the first question. The second question is, why do we say that these great devotees curse? Because usually, like when we say curse, it means somebody is going to suffer. But we realize that almost every time these great devotees curse another person, it appears to be suffering, but actually, it's a blessing. It will help them. So, what does it really mean when we say these great devotees curse? So, those are my two questions in one. And I'm done for today questioning. Hare Krishna.
So, dasanu dasanu das, that is the mood of a devotee, right? We always take this mood. Now, which actually, I'm going to take a step back. When people would ask Srila Prabhupada, how many disciples do you have? He said thousands and hundreds of thousands of them. At one time he said, some know it, some don't. So he's talking of future. How many disciples would he have? Think of the disciples also include grand disciples, great grand disciples, and so on. So he's revealing into the future with his spiritual vision. That's what he's going to have. Similarly, when we talk about dasanu das, because we are either at the neophyte or middle state, we think of, we make distinction. Discrimination exists, and the madhyam, even at the madhyam adhikari state. Uttam adhikari doesn't even differentiate. They just want to engage everyone in Lord's service because they see that Lord is in everyone's heart. So they are seeing from that perspective. So in Madhyama Adhikari state, we make differentiation between this one is a pure devotee, this one is, about my type, maybe I'm Madhyama Adhikari, he's also Madhyama, and this one is a neophyte. A 5-year-old child walks in to the temple and they start dancing. So most important thing is like people would be like careful, let the child dance. But maybe this is a time of lecture, you shouldn't dance. They may stop the child from dancing. But if we come to know that this is one of the Chatur Kumaras, then what will we do? So again, our vision is imperfect, right? Our senses are imperfect. So we have those material 4 defects because we're in this material world. To be safe, actually, now that we are talking about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that, my dear Lord, I do not know how they are worshipping you. I do not even understand how they are serving you. Yet, I am just, I accept that is their way of worshipping you. That's their way of serving you. And you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So again, even though different religions serve the Lord different ways, because if you look at all religion, they all worship sun god. So if you were to ask them which religion, which faith is, what's the faith of sun god? Everyone said, hey, sun god is from our faith. Vaishnava says, yes, he is off. But in reality, if you look at sun, The sun, does it only belong to Vaishnava? Sun even purifies, dries up urine, which is a dirty thing, because he's on that absolute platform. So Lord is one, but divided, appears to be divided in many based on different faiths. So when we look from the true perspective, from the Shastra Chakshus, from the scriptures, these reveal that this is not just mine or yours, it's everyone's, and that we are all children of God. Then we realize that this bhav, we are making distinction because of our state. Where we are making distinction. But should we stay at our state? No, we should actually understand that everyone is son of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we are all children of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should all be having loving exchanges toward each other. Yes, we should not go and embrace a lion in the zoo. We understand that distinction. But at the same time, we can always pray for others. We can always serve others. Now, when we talk about serving others, Srila Prabhupada also made that very clear distinction. He was serving his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, by carrying out his instructions. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked him in the very first meeting, he was not initiated yet, that you should translate these books in English and provide it to the Western world. Srila Prabhupada understood the purport of that. He didn't just translate it in English, he took it to the Western world and then educated them on that scripture. If we were just given this without Srila Prabhupada's purpose, I don't think Srimad Bhagavatam would be understandable by any. It was the purpose, and Srila Prabhupada himself explaining it by his association, showing by his example as Acharya, one who teaches by example, we are able to follow. So again, Anusharan, taking shelter of the Mahajanas, is very important. And then we see that Vidura, he was moving incognito. Because he did not look, it was all about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna in the center. Sometimes we see some personalities, they put themselves in the center. They say, I'm such and such personality in such and such sampradaya. I'm traveling, so I have got so many devotees worshipping me daily. But are you worshipping Krishna daily? That's also an important piece. Krishna should be in the center, not the individual personalities. We are all in the mood of das, anudas, anudas. So Anusharan is more important aspect than Anukaran. And Durvasa Muni is a good example of that. He would travel with his 10,000 disciples and he would get angry anytime he is dissatisfied. Because he's an expansion of Lord Shiva, but further into mode of ignorance. He's influenced by that mode of ignorance, even though he's a Brahmana. Now that you talked about caste system, here we see a Brahmana who fall into ignorance so often, so quickly. Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. So the lusty desire is in mode of passion, but Krodh is in mode of ignorance. And he would immediately become angry and he would curse others. Yes, the curse of Vaishnavas is still purifying. Yet at the same time, there is difference between a blessing, both are on absolute platform, but the one who receives it, it does appear to others that it is suffering. However, they are rejoicing to have received this. So the whole time passes like a moment for those who actually get cursed, because they immediately get empowered by this Krishna prema, right? They get this mercy through the devotees. One example that comes to mind is Nal, Kuvera and Manigriva. They were completely intoxicated in Shiva Kshetra, Devi Kshetra actually. They were in the Sarovar, in the lake, enjoying with heavenly women, Apsaras. And Devashi Narada appeared. All the ladies, they covered their bodies, seeing Devashi Narada, the great sage, coming. But these two sons of Kuvera, the treasure of the demigods, they were so intoxicated, they didn't even pay attention and didn't cover their bodies. Devashi Narada immediately cursed them to become trees. But then what was the curse? The curse was you become 100 years of the Devatas as trees. 100 years of Devatas. One day of Devata is, the day is 6 months and night is 6 months on earthly planet. You can imagine they had to be there for hundreds and thousands of years as trees. And finally, when they're born, so they're going from, normally yoni is like you progress to next, but they're born as trees and trees and trees and trees. They're not able to come out till those 100 years of demigods. Finally, they're born as the twin Arjun trees at the courtyard of Nand Maharaj. And Lord Krishna releases them. Yet at the same time, Devashi Narad also made one more, because they asked for forgiveness. He said, yes, you will be born as trees, you will be delivered by Lord Krishna himself, and you will remember your mistake. So another place we hear that pride cometh before fall. So we should be humble and we should be tolerant in all states. Because what is this body? This body is given to us by material nature. It will perish today or tomorrow or day after tomorrow. It's not there permanent, but we are permanent beings and we are eternal servant of the Lord. JIVA Surpoya Krishna Nityadas. That was the first part of your question. So dasanudasanudas, and the curse appears to be blessing. Yet at the same time, when cursed, one still has to go through material suffering if they are in ignorance, like Gajendra, like the trees, these two sons of Kuvera. And when Lord Krishna releases them, now it's also very interesting that the curse enables us to become devotee. That's more important than just going back home, back to Godhead. Before we go back home, back to Godhead, we have an opportunity to be, take birth in one of Krishna Leela. So that's why these two sons, they are re-situated, again, they are able to get their original position as sons of Kuvera. Yes, as Nal Kuvera and Manigriva, and they go back to the heavenly kingdom. Which means that they have an opportunity in the next coming pastime of Lord Krishna and Krishna Leela. That has not yet occurred. So that's also another aspect to it. So there is a weight thing which the devotees, it may look momentary, but to us who are not yet at that level, may appear like great suffering. But those years to Nal Kuvera and others, they appear like momentary because they are only paying attention to when the time is right. What was the other part of the question?
I think you answered both.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you answered both. Thank you so much. In fact, until today, I didn't really know, I didn't understand that Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, when they were cursed, they had taken different bodies of trees until this final one, this twin Arjun. I thought that as soon as they were cursed, they turned to this Arjun twin tree. But it's very interesting to know.
Fire of lamentation that burns our past karmas also. In Nectar of Devotion, we see Rupa Goswami revealing this, that because of, we are burning in the fire of repentance, prayashchitta, it's like a burning fire. And all our sinful reactions, they get burned in that fire. When we are remembering again what wrong we did, and we understand, the wrongful act that we performed. And not just this particular pastime, there's two sons of Kuvera, they were thinking of all the abominable things they had done, which were leading to the sense gratification, to the point when they got cursed. And they had to be burned for so long to be able to come to the level of, devotees. So becoming devotee is a great boon. We didn't have to suffer that way. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you so much. Vaishaki Devi, you are absolutely right, because there are tons and tons of lessons to be learned from this Krishna Katha. And Shri Jiva TATTVA Prabhu, we can't thank you enough. With that being said, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace Jiva TATTVA Prabhu. Please, you may unmute. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarabhyascha, patibhya eva cha, titanam parabhyo vaishnavibhyo namo
Namo
namaha.
Namaha.
Nantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Jai.
All glories to our great speaker's grace, Jiva Tattva Prabhu ki jai. All
Jai.
glories to Prabhupada, all glories to seven Vaishnava devotees ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
अनंत करी वैष्णव की जय।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna।